I'm Shivani Gupta and welcome to the AskShivani podcast. I believe that one of the best presents that you can give yourself is time to be able to sit down and ask yourself some questions. I believe that the quality of the questions that you ask yourself will determine the quality of your life. Hi, and welcome to the AskShivani podcast. I am so excited today to have Lily Fontana here. I had the opportunity to meet Lily through a common friend / colleague of ours. And let me tell you a little bit about her before she joins us. She has been in a very creative career spanning over 2.5 decades in makeup, hair, fashion styling, set design in film, stage, TV, editorial, fashion, as well as corporate culture. And trust me, for those of you that are watching it on YouTube, you would not think, how could she have spent 25 years doing that? Because she looks pretty fab. And for those of you that are listening, you'll just have to look her up now in terms of her details. Her work, Lily's work, is really about helping people confidently step into their own spotlight. She always knew that the whole point of having her clients was to feel great on the outside as well as on the inside. She's got a bunch of qualifications. She is got an NLP qualification. She's got a TAFE qualification. She's got Advanced Diploma in Fashion Design. And she uses a lot of her knowledge and experience to really facilitate work online, as well as with corporates around her personal image training workshops. Welcome, Lily.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you so much for having me.
Honestly, your CV spanning 25 years, I could have just kept speaking about your CV. So I wanted to dive in and start asking you questions. So Lily, tell us firstly a bit about your journey in terms of what's got you here. And often they include trials and tribulations, good, bad, and the ugly. Tell us some pivotal moments in your life that have formed you into who you are today and share that with that audience.
Thank you, Shivani. Well, I think I have to start with coming to Australia at the age of just under 2. So my parents migrated from then Yugoslavia, now Serbia. And I really have realized now that I'm older how much that really did shape me. My own perception of myself, of how I looked, the language I spoke. I didn't know English when I went to grade 1. So I had a real migrant experience. It's very common in any kind of developing country or developed country, I should say, where, lots of migrants come and call these countries home, like Australia. And so blessed to be here. So perception of myself was a big thing. And I think I had a real aha moment when I went to my school reunion, and just how everyone spoke about me at that time. Like I had in my head, big googly eyes, being called a wog, especially in the earlier days, and just wanted to fit in and be an Aussie. I just wanted to be an Aussie. And then realizing, gosh, people and I thought I was the only European in the whole school. And of course, a friend of mine who was there with me in grade 1 said, oh my gosh, remember this brother and sister from the Ukraine, remember these Greek, brothers, and Italian, Sri Lankan, you name it. And what I perceived in my head was different. So that, has really taken me on a journey. I can see how everything connects as you get older and how it shapes you. Yeah. So that was, that was a big deal. And then it really did shape me. Another thing is that I did was I've always been a bit of a risk taker when it comes to career, and I've just had so many. Sort of started finishing school and always had to study something while I was working. I could never just be. And I seem to still be like that. And I think one of the biggest things I did was I was in the corporate world and I quit that. First, I went part-time. I shouldn't say part-time, I temped, because I didn't want to be perceived as a clock watcher, because I really wanted to do the training that I was doing after hours and get there on time. So that was fashion design. I started to do fashion pattern making. And then I decided to go full-time 3 years with a little mortgage, but still it was a big risk, and especially going from one extreme to another. into quite an unknown world. But I kind of had a lot of drive, and once I set my mind to something, I did it. So I did that, worked as a stylist, and went, maybe that's also not it. There's something more. Went to New York when I was working in a modeling agency. One of my clients, styling, sent me to work at Dali, or sent my resume, because I said, I think I need to find a full-time job. I'm getting older. And went to New York right after September 11, pregnant with my first child. So I'm, yeah, a little bit of a risk taker in it was the safest place to be. But anyway, you know, for my family and friends were all going, they thought I was crazy. And the biggest thing I think is navigating divorce. So I separated 3.5 years ago. That's been the biggest challenge, navigating that. Just my, you know, being more mature and understanding. It's been the worst and best years of my life, I have to say. So lots of reading, lots of research. So that's kind of my background. And now, after doing makeup for 20 years, it's such a privilege to be in people's personal space and listening to their stories. And it really did become my favorite thing. I love doing makeup. I love being creative. But that's taken me on the path to working in the corporate world again, full circle, helping people make a better first impression, understanding the trust that is connected to how you look, but also coming from a place of compassion and understanding self-compassion. So really working at that inner and outer beauty is it's exciting for me. So there you go.
Wow, that's great. And the bit that I really loved what you just said there, Lily, is they've probably been the best and the worst years of my life. And there's this balance, isn't it? There's always this duality in everything that we do that not a lot of people speak about. They even talk about the goods and the bad, but you can see both in the same moments, both in the same experience.
It's priceless, feeling the pain and allowing yourself to do it. And that's where we always try and run away, and I do it, you know. So yeah, it's been huge. But yeah, good. We just got to keep going.
Challenges, when they come your way, do you have a particular process or a way of dealing with it, or a mindset? Tell us a little bit about how do you go about when challenges come your way, whether you use the same methodology every time or whether you do it differently. How do you approach it?
I think one of the things, because I have chopped and changed and taken risks, it's not falling into the habit or the pitfall of regret. So as soon as I would go, gosh, I've just spent 3 years doing fashion design, I'm not a fashion designer, I really started to realize, I would remember all those years in the corporate world of typing, learning how to touch type, in high school, those good old days, and understanding how I used that, and I was able to type up my assignments so easily. I had these little moments of like, that's why I did that, because it got me to here and it helped me with that. And I think that's what I always come back to that. I go, well, the reason why I did that was I was able to do this. And so regret is a wasted emotion. And that's one thing, that's how I always think about it. I always remember those little moments in my life that have helped me, things that I've done in the past. Another thing that I do, and just through so much research and on behavioral science and Eastern philosophy, and I can't get enough of it. It's really following my instincts in what I read and what I listen to. And but I use this technique called the RAIN technique, and I'm sure you've heard of it, and all the people that listen to you that are.
Heard of it.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, so it was I think a lady called Michelle McDonald created it. And then Tara Brach, she's a psychologist in the States, and she's also meditation. She's gone more into meditation. So she's modified it and expanded it. So what I tend to, when I have that somehow uneasy feeling, and a lot of us don't even know we're having it. Okay, so it's in the body. So it's an uneasy feeling. The R in it, you recognize it. And the more you do it, the more easier you recognize it. So you recognize the feeling. You then A for allow. So you allow it to happen. And you, allow it to happen, but also kind of name it. So actually say the words, give it a name, either anxiety. It's usually fear, anxiety, sadness, and then investigate. I for investigate, where is it in your body? find that you can either place your hands, it's usually your stomach. You usually feel it in your stomach, you know, your second brain, or your heart, sometimes in your arm, like some random neck. And then the N is for nurture. So she's changed that one. It was something else. So N is for nurture, where you, and she has a really good, like I wrote it down. You send or you say words, nurturing words to that area. So I listened to her, and she's as if the most wise and loving part of your being could offer a tender touch, letting energy start flowing into that place of vulnerability. I mean, how beautiful is that? It is that nurturing.
That is gorgeous.
And then you get this shift. So you're not squashing it, because I really love breathing techniques. I've done a lot of investigating in that. I use them in my workshops. But breathing can, lower your heart rate and calm you, but it's still a cover-up. Like, it's still not dealing with and sitting with what you're feeling. And then she has this thing after the rain, and it really is. It's like facing your enemy, and then that enemy backs down. So you're just facing it, and you're giving it love, and you're trying to understand it, and it's part of you, and then it just goes away. Honestly, and the more you do it, I must be creating some stronger neural pathways, because the more I do it, the less often I have to do it, and the quicker I get there. And then you just feel like, wow, that was cool. Like that after the rain, you just have this little bit of serenity for a few seconds. Anyway, I do that. That's really, really helped me, get through stuff.
I'm going to pick that up. I love techniques like that. But I also know what it feels like after the rain has been. Everything feels like it's been washed away.
Absolutely.
And so there, I actually took a couple of notes down saying I'm absolutely going to look that up. Tell us future aspirations in terms of whether you look at it a year out, 3 years out, 10 years out. What are some of the things you go, oh my God, I have to do that? And that may be business, that may be personal. What are some of the things that you're wanting to do or action in the next few years ahead of you?
Well, I would really love to grow the workshop side of my business. So help as many people as I can. And I think that's my major goal, is to and even speak about. I love to be able to go to a conference and speak to women and men, because I work with a lot of men too. There's grooming involved. We have to look our best in front of the camera, and just for people to recognize that it's a role they're playing when they do get a job, and it doesn't mean that they have to sell their soul to dress a certain way, look a certain way. And I really come from that compassion place, and for them to have self-compassion. It's not about strict, you've got to be perfect. I love this quote, please don't be perfect, you'll have no one to relate to. I think Peter Crone said that. Yeah, so I would love to really build my business in that way, and then just see where the next kind of third of my life is going to take me. And hopefully a new partner would be beautiful. Not hopefully, that's what I would love. And I'm putting it out there. And just watching my children grow. I have a 19-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter, and I love being there for them. I think I'm a far better parent, just being a lot more self-aware, and just really enjoying every moment with them till they decide that they don't want to be, they're already at that stage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thanks for being vulnerable about that and just speaking about that. What about from a leadership perspective? Do you have a philosophy or a quote or something that you love that you really just go, yeah, that's who I am, that's what I abide by, and I guess try and live by? Not that we do that all the time, but are there some philosophies around leadership?
Absolutely. And I think, again, it comes down to compassion. I really think that is the basis of everything. Self-compassion. If you love yourself, be the love you want to attract. If you love yourself, then you can love others. And I love this quote by this evolutionary psychologist. And he said, it's not survival of the fittest, it's survival of the nurtured. And that is so profound to me, because we're always thinking we have to be bigger, better, stronger, smarter. So I just think the nurtured, you see that people suffer when they're younger, if they haven't had that love, how harder it is for them. And then the people that have to really find it. They have to nurture that compassion, cultivate it, and how much it really goes hand in hand with, again, what I done, my business of, making people look good, and how I always knew that wasn't enough. It's not enough. the face paint, the hairspray. It definitely helps and it makes you feel good, but it isn't the full picture. So I think compassion and humor, I just think we just need to take ourselves not as seriously. I just think a little bit of fun, and, you know, life is short, so we just have to have fun with it within reason. But yeah, just a sense of humor and a sense of compassion for everyone makes it easier.
And Lily, you talked a little bit about this earlier in terms of, you know, coming to Australia. You talked about the RAIN methodology. So when it comes to your own wellness, and some of your wellness might be things you do daily, or sometimes people have like a yearly ritual in terms of what they do. What are some of your rituals and practices when it comes to your wellness?
Well, these have been absolutely life-saving, my little rituals I have, and they have just been developed over the last 3.5 years. Like, I've always exercised, but I've always pushed myself to lose weight. You know, it's always this struggle. So I do yoga nearly every day. That's been, and I've tried to do it for 20 years, and, you know, it's not fast enough. It's not, but it's amazing. Life brings you these, you know, opportunities to really see it. And I absolutely love yoga. I try and do it almost every day. I walk almost pretty much every day. So I do some form of exercise every single day. I walk my dog, and the dog walking is so much more than just walking. It's meeting people, you know, the dogs sniffing each other, which is hilarious, as dogs do. And it's just the conversations you have, and it's just fun and lovely, and that's really makes me excited. So, and it also is fantastic for the soul. So exercising every day. I meditate every day, sometimes twice a day. And if I miss a day, I don't beat myself up about it. So I've really learnt to understand what meditation is about. It's not about turning off your thoughts. How will we all think that? I was the first person who said, there's no way I can meditate. And I found it really hard in the beginning. Sometimes I couldn't even breathe. I couldn't even find breath. And so now I just really just cut yourself some slack, and just sitting in the chair, just sitting there and making the effort is enough sometimes. So I meditate every day. I have a cold shower every day. I started that at the beginning of COVID. I know. So that's meant to stimulate your vagus nerve, which is the nerve, that connects your brain and your organs. And it really does. There's something about, you know, when you go to the beach in summer and you go swimming all day, then you go and have that shower outside to get the salt off. And it's a bit cold, even though it's summer, you feel cold having that shower. And then when you put your warm clothes on, do you know that feeling? There's that, I don't know, it's like a delayed gratification. And I read it in the yoga studio where I went, had a newsletter, and that was the beginning of COVID. I had lost all my livelihood at that point. So I was absolutely beside myself. So I was doing anything that I could that was healthy, to help me. So that I just started doing it. And it was winter. I mean, I think COVID happened in March. By the time I read that, it was May. And boy, oh boy, but it's like, it's a bit corny, but I just feel like I stand under a waterfall. That's what I picture. And I just go for it. Sometimes I even jump out of bed if I have an early morning shoot, because I still work as a makeup artist. I'll jump into a cold shower. I can't even believe it, but it's kind of addictive. It's a bit strange, but it's exhilarating. It gets you breathing, you're really breathing. And then as soon as you dry off, you're just flooded with these warm, I don't know, it's just this delayed gratification, I think, and you feel proud of yourself. So any little bit.
Winter you do it as well?
Oh, winter's better than summer, because summer you don't even notice. I know, I'm crazy.
I love the fact that you go visualize a waterfall. I'm like, I'd have to, because otherwise if I looked up, I'd be going under my shower head, and I should be able to turn it on to warm water.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. So what else do I do? I think I listen to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts. I mean, that's what I've been I feed my brain every day. I love it. And one thing leads me to another. I listen to a podcast, talks about a book. I then get that audiobook. I drive for work, drive to all areas of the city. And so I listen to it then and on my walk. So I love that. It's helped me really understand myself and really bring a lot to these workshops. More than just a bit of lipstick and which is fun. It's exciting. I love products. I love color, but yeah. So that's what I do.
Social, and I can see some of your workshops are starting to get some really amazing feedback. And so, Lily, tell us, if people want to follow you, find out about your workshops, find out about you, where are the best places to find you?
Well, my website is probably the best to really explain everything. So that's lilyfontana.com.au, and LinkedIn. I've got a profile there, of course, so that there's quite a bit of information there. And Instagram. I'm a bit slack with Instagram, but that's my next avenue to really, build up that social media, or just be more consistent with it. I think everybody's battle to be a bit more consistent with it. But the website really does explain all my workshops and about me and what I've done and what I can offer.
That's awesome. It's been such a delight having you. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you, Shivani.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Shivani Gupta, and you've been listening to the Ask Shivani podcast, where I got to ask some questions. Thank you so much for listening. Please follow Ask Shivani on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And if you haven't done so, please go to the Apple podcast and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. It would mean a lot. Thank you.